Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Media Civics Lab Seminar Workshop Series. Again, my name is Gab Billones. I'm the Chief Organizer of Break the Fake Movement. The Break the Fake Movement is a coalition of young professionals in Metro Manila and the Philippines committed to fighting the issue of fake news and promoting responsible digital citizenship. I'd like to welcome you all to the Media Civics Lab program once again. I'm pretty sure you're hyped up with the previous session on responsible digital citizenship. For those who just came in and joined our program, the Media Civics Lab is an awareness and media literacy program for SK and other emerging community leaders with a goal of equipping and launching the next breed of media literacy champions from all over the country. This is in partnership with the US Embassy and Foundation for Media Alternatives. Before we proceed with our program, we would like to remind everyone that the online learning is now ready to accept students. So just register at www.mediacivicslab.breakthefakemovement.com in order to have full access to the classes. And aside from that, before we actually proceed even further, let us watch this launching video of the Media Civics Lab online learning platform. Okay, so that's the online learning platform of Media Civics Lab. I hope that you're going to take advantage of the classes from our top-notch instructors in the areas of responsible digital citizenship, media literacy and awareness, fake news and disinformation, social media and the law, and culture of positive participation. More than 14 instructors were able to pull off and complete there are 20 courses now available in the platform. So if you're going to actually teach or more excited about media literacy and awareness and taking them in your own hometowns, then you better take these classes in our online learning portal. Now, I'd like to ask you guys, are you excited in today's workshop? Now, I hope you do because in today's workshop, we will be covering media literacy and awareness. So for today, we will be having a lecture session, breakout rooms, and presentation from our partner organizations. Just to remind everybody, if you have any questions or clarifications during the talk, feel free to send it to us, or you can also use the chat option here in Zoom, but you can actually also wait for the Q&A option later on. You may also use the chat option to raise questions to our speaker, especially during our session, our Q&A later. Now, our topic for today is media literacy and awareness. One of the core tenets of media education is media literacy and awareness. Media literacy includes all technical, cognitive, social, civic, and creative capacities that allow citizens to access, have a critical understanding of the media, and interact with it. In the past few years, we have seen major changes in the media landscape. What was once traditional forms of media have now shifted to digital, and sources of truth have democratized to the citizenry. This generation has seen the rise of social media, influencers, and other unprecedented trends of like disinformation, fake news, and many others. Part of the goal of this workshop series is to unify efforts on media information and literacy, and to take us back to these changes in media landscape and to introduce us to the core of media literacy and awareness. Let me introduce to you the lecture speaker for today's event. Our main speaker for today's event is no other than Mr. Robbie Alampay. Mr. Robbie is widely known for his journalism career. His values are fully anchored on press freedom and media independence. Mr. Alampay has extensive regional and international experience. He has served as the first executive director of the Southeast Asian Press Alliance. He is the former editor-in-chief of Business World, former news anchor of Bloomberg TV, Philippines, former vice president of TV5, and now founder of his very own podcast company, Puma Public Productions, a first mover in the Philippines and Southeast Asia in non-music audio productions. Currently, he also serves as regional advisor for the Asia program of the International Media Support, or IMS, in Copenhagen. Let's all welcome Mr. Robbie Alampay.
Ay, maraming salamat, Gab. Gab, before you go, linawin ko lang, how much time do I have?
You have 1 hour, sir.
1 hour. I won't use up the entire 1 hour. I promise everybody. And siguro we can make most of the time later on for a conversation. So I'll just jump straight into it, and hopefully there are things that we can talk about because I'm eager to learn from everybody as well. So let me share my screen. Uh, okay. Can you see my screen? Can everybody see my screen? And
Yes.
then 12% center view. Yeah. So you can all see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can.
Are you seeing just the ano, or are you ano ba to? There. Okay. I hope there are no distractions. I'm not sure kung anong lumalabas. Are you seeing just the Google slides, or are you literally seeing my ano?
Right now, it's all clear, sir. We're
Okay.
currently
Sige.
seeing the Puma podcast. And
Okay, okay. So anyway, thank you to Media Civics Lab for inviting me. I think this is the second time. I always enjoy my time, especially as we're talking to the youth, which is of course a very very important um, sector, if not the most important sector right now. As Gab said, I founded Puma Public Productions. Our flagship brand is Puma Podcast because, when we say non-audio music productions, it does run the gamut of a lot of things. We produce a lot of things other than podcast. But Puma Podcast is how I usually introduce ourselves because podcasting is the easiest way for people to grasp what non-music audio production means. So this is something that is our flagship brand. Um, and that's our mission statement below, sharing the joy, the power, and the value there is in listening. And I'll get a little bit into that because it is quite relevant in why we set up this company and why in the context of media literacy we think there's a role to play. I apologize ahead of time. I'm sitting by the window, so you might hear cars, you might hear yung aso sa kapitbahay na hindi na, wala kami magawa. Inangal na namin yan. But so I apologize. I hope everybody can sympathize. Um, I've been asked to talk about media literacy and awareness, specifically the current media landscape. And but I really won't focus so much on on the media landscape, more on the audience. So I have uh, a personal focus when it comes to my advocacy and media literacy, and I would rather focus on the demand side of news. That's all of us consuming content, rather on the supply side. There are people who are dedicated to intervening on the supply side, the fact-checking consortiums, news organizations, and so on. But I really feel that the urgent need is on the demand side in all of us. I think the challenge is not to create 100%. The real challenge is not in creating 100% reliable news organizations. It's not the real challenge for me when it comes to media literacy, in the sense that we have many capable news organizations really doing a wonderful job. I think the real challenge is how do we make information resilient people, because there will always be unreliable and fake and loaded and motivated information and information with agenda out there. It will always exist. Um, and so I think the one real challenge that we're all overlooking is the need to make ourselves resilient. What are the reputable online resources? And we want to touch on as well the influencer phenomenon that this was asked of me. I will touch on it. I won't delve on it so much, but I do think it's important. And then social media etiquette. So let me start with the premise, no, that we have a problem with information literacy. But let me break that down kasi there are actually a number of concepts here beyond the general question of information literacy. One is to go higher and to talk about literacy in general. And a 2018 study found that tayo, the Filipinos, and the Philippine education system, to be more precise, ranks literally the lowest. You see here on the right the chart showing how low we are. We're right there at the bottom, so you don't have to keep looking. It's encircled in red, and you'll see that we're lowest among the countries in reading. We are lowest in mathematics. We are lowest in science. And this was, I think, PISA was gauging this on standardized tests at the grade school level. So that's the easiest way for us to understand literacy, no? And suffice it to say that our education system, unfortunately, is still very hobbled. Even before COVID, this was done in 2018, and the results came out in 2019. The next time we'll see whether or not we improved will be around 2020. But that's literacy. And then beyond literacy, there's a concept that people hardly talk about, which is innumeracy. Most people not only have a hard time comprehending what they read, a lot of people at an even weaker level uh, do not really understand numbers beyond the nominal representations. No? They can count, they can probably multiply, they can divide. It's enough to transact. But they cannot actually comprehend graphics. They cannot check calculations. They cannot fact check. If government says, "Oh, ganito yung growth rate natin," it goes beyond innumeracy. We go into discussions of economics, and even there, yeah, and especially there, as we go into more technical things, we have a harder and harder time to comprehend. And then there is information literacy, and this is really what we want to talk about, no? And what the PISA, one insight from the 2018 studies on our abilities in reading, mathematics, and science, is there was also an insight that, so when it comes to information literacy, ang mga Pilipino, they cannot, especially the youth, no, they cannot distinguish what is news from commentary. They cannot distinguish what is a factual statement of, let's say, a scientific finding. They cannot distinguish that from an opinion. No? So, for example, when people have these debates, I'm sure you have this in your Viber groups, in your Facebook groups, in your chats. You're probably dismayed by ganun pala yung kaibigan ko mag-isip, or ganun pala si tita, ganun pala si tito, and so on. You've seen these debates about vaccines, di ba? Mga anti-vaxxers and so on. And people, as dismayed as we are, we should also be more dismayed by the fact that maraming Pilipino cannot distinguish what is a news report or a statement of news, what is something that is based on commentary. Here's an example of how innumeracy is really problematic. 80% of statistics on social media are made up, and 60% of people will share anything with a pie chart. No? And obviously, a lot of people will fail to see the qualifier at the bottom right of this slide. People will take anything, and it just goes to the point that, let's put it bluntly, madaling manguto. And this is why a lot of material goes viral. No? You notice that before, when people are attacking each other or are attacking a particular viewpoint, before it was easy to tell, diba? Because coming from the memes of 9gag and so on, there was a particular format for memes, and then there was a particular format for news, and then eventually people realized what if the memes coalesce, and then trolling and fake news basically starts to take the format of news. And what trolls have found and what scientists have found is that it's true, it works. People cannot distinguish as long as the format is there, and this is a very dangerous thing. So and this right here, I hope illustrates really how easy it is, even for some of us, even for my uncles, even for my own relatives, to share something as ridiculous as this. Okay. So I was thinking about all of this because kanina umaga, and you'll know that this is the front page of the Philippine Star today, or maybe you won't, because most likely most of you have not touched a newspaper in weeks, if not months. Certainly not today. I will bet a lot of money that a lot of people did not touch a newspaper today, and more people are not have never touched a newspaper in years. No, and so this is not to endorse and to say that, go back to old school. The reality is newspapers are in fact dying. The print medium is dying, which is why Philippine Star, Inquirer, all the traditional media, business world, even the ones I know, we know that the important audience right now is all in digital. And so we have our digital platforms. But I was looking at this kanina. I was looking at the newspaper today, and then this is what I see. And if I ask young people, no, to look at the newspaper, the reality is they cannot navigate a newspaper. You hand a newspaper to a young person, and I'm speaking from experience with my own children, and they give you a look. As if I say, for example, go find me that picture from the PBA yesterday. You hand them the newspaper, and they will look at you with for a split second, as if their mind is racing. Where's the nav bar? Diba? Where is it? That in my generation, it's instinctual. We knew. You just turn the entire newspaper over. That's where the news will be. It won't always be the same for every culture, for every country, but we were taught to have not just the instinct and the discipline, but even the muscle memory to know where sports is, where entertainment is, where the comics are, and so on. So if you look at the second and third pictures here, diba? For example, it's been staring you in the face, which is news and which is opinion. Now, it's fairly easy to see, and I don't know even if young people have ever noticed that, especially because they've never opened a newspaper. It's the second picture is the news, and the third picture is opinion. How do we know? Because it says right there. Because it's spelled out for us that is news, the upper left corner, and there's a page 4 nakalagay, that's opinion. And so I come from a generation where where news was not only transparent, they were very helpful in volunteering in today's parlance, to tag entire pages, and basically to tell you ahead of time in black and white, in no uncertain terms, that what you're about to read here in page 2 and page 3 is news. What you're about to read here in page 4 and page 5 is opinion. So none of this is to try to convince you to subscribe to newspapers. Frankly, we all know it's a bit too late for that. But it is enough to make you ask the question, who does that for you? Who does that for young people nowadays? When you see your feed on social media, yeah, and the majority of people will say, not just in the Philippines, but all over the world, where do you get your news?